I want to welcome most of the students that are here, and most of the professors are here. Let's see. Jordan is en route. He should be with us shortly. And I know that Stuart is not present today. His child has COVID, so he's not able to be with us right now. And so our thoughts are with him. Our thoughts are with the 13 American soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan. But this morning I received word that another additional 12,000 Afghanistan American were privately removed over the border by a group of veterans who got together with a neighboring country and helped those American Afghan civilians seek safety. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin. I guess we'll do the introductions first. I'll let the course managers go first. You guys can do it at your, I guess, in order or whatever. Criminal justice wants to go first.
Amber can go first.
Yeah. I was on mute. Sorry. Okay. I'm Amber Oquindo, and I'm going to be working with Mohammed on the criminal justice program. For this first term, I'll be teaching the human rights and terrorism course. This course, as Todd said, is an unbiased view, best practices approach to these weighty and often controversial issues that we deal with, but we definitely try to approach every situation with an academic lens to look at it objectively, unbiasedly, and determine what works, what doesn't, and view case studies is a big part of, I know, the criminal justice program. I know Mohammed and I have included several case studies throughout the coursework, and that gives you a real world approach to how these different issues, such as my course, human rights, how does that interact with terrorism? How does that interact with states, their requirements, their responses? And so it will definitely provide students with a foundational understanding and a fundamental view of how these factions interact. And Mohammed is our program director for the criminal justice program. And so I will let him take it away.
All right, that was a wonderful introduction, Amber. Okay, my name is Mohammed Omar. Sorry, it's just I've got a very low connection, so I won't be able to put my video. Yes, I am a program director for the criminal justice with investigation. And I will be running the program with Amber, as she has already mentioned. As you've seen, terrorist threats level are always changing. And how we look at countering terrorism. And the only way is by looking at previous case studies, look at the history. So what we're looking at will be the first module, human rights and criminal law and terrorism. So the course itself has been designed to look at from criminal justice from criminal law, human rights, criminal investigation, and policing. How does that relate to terrorism? That will enable, if you are already got experience in security industry, law enforcement, or military, and that will you will progress through either master level if you want to do Master International Security Studies, and also getting employment within the law enforcement or criminal justice system in your own country, or also at an international level. And the program itself, as Todd mentioned yesterday, is all looking at the curriculum within NATO and the United Nations. So it is a wonderful program, and I was very pleased when Todd asked me to work with Amber and design the program. And as you've mentioned, as you've seen it previously, we've run some of the materials on the seminars. There is courseworks which you have to do on a weekly basis in terms of whether you're doing research on case studies, or you look at some materials online, asking questions or quizzes. However, please feel free to get in touch with us. We have an open approach where if you have any issues, you need any support or guidance, we will be more than happy to help and support, because our aim and goal is to make sure that you succeed into this course and earn the certificate, because we want to make sure that you'll be the first participants or students to be coming out and with the certificates at the end of the day and say, hey, I'm the first person from GCTI having attained this certification. And there will be a lot of opportunities, as you've seen. This is why we're here. We want to provide education for you. There's a lot of opportunities out there within the criminal justice system or security industry. So just one example, looking at from my experience within the UK now, the policing has changed. Even in America, you've seen they all gone through miscarriage of justice. Mm-hmm. And we say to you, the policing has changed, or criminal justice has changed over the number of years in the UK and Europe. So we compare those case studies across Europe and America to be able to give you best practices that you can implement in your own country when you are fully qualified. So that's, again, to make changes and be able to go out there and prevent or counter terrorism. So please feel free to get in touch, and I'm in the Weeks group, available anytime you need advice, and also we'll be able to share our email addresses. I look forward to engaging with you. All the best and good luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohammed. Mr. Irfan, I believe you're next. Just so there's no confusion, you're all in the same, there's two different diploma programs here, and then there's a master's level also. So criminal justice is one side, the international security studies diploma is the other side. However, the masters are covering both. And so there's a little bit more expectation for you guys. And at that level, there's just more work that you have to do. You're all getting the same information. The masters are, you're getting both coursework information for that, because you have a lot more requirements at the master's level. So if you're confused, go ahead, Irfan. Irfan I'll let him introduce himself. Where'd you go? You got to unmute, sir.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing great. Todd, is Professor Jordan here with us?
I don't. He said he was going to reach DIA at 10 o'clock, so we'll see if he made it. And he says that he'll drop by sometime. Okay. Even if he doesn't, we'll get him in here soon.
I see. Yeah, that should be okay. Yeah, no problem. So can you hear me? My internet connection is a little bit unstable. I don't know for some reason, but I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Irfan Yar, and I will be one of the instructors for the International Security Studies program. We will have both diploma and master student. And I hope that the student might have read the outline that I shared, the updated one. And as you know, we will be covering 4 main key subjects. The first one will be Introduction to International Security. Second one is Terrorism and Counter-Terrorism. The third one will be Organized International Crime. And we will also talk about the intelligence. And the fourth one will be the New World Order and Cybersecurity. In all these 4 subjects were chosen in consultation with Professor Jordan and other professors who are not directly affiliated with the GCTI, but they have close support of theirs with us. So this program was developed, very academically and with very renowned professor. And by the end of this program, the students will be able mostly to have a very critical understanding of the security issues. They won't just follow the conventional or the mainstream ideas, for example, what terrorists are. We will be providing them with tools, to analyze issues related to international security from multi perspectives. And in terms of material, this course might sound a little bit heavier. However, we encourage students, if they see the readings are too much, especially in the first and second modules, they are welcome to consult with us, and we can accordingly suggest, which readings to give priority to. So, but again, the more you read, the better it will be for you. And in terms of course delivery, what I was thinking first that it should be an online Zoom class, but again we will have to see the majority of the students what is convenient for them, and mostly based on the students' decision. I will take that in consideration. Similarly, in terms of office hours, we will select that in maybe today or through email, to choose what work best for you guys. And yeah, I would prefer the online class rather than, to record the session. Maybe we can do both, but if we have student, present with us, we will have more interactive, discussion. And most of the material in this course are master level, even though I have incorporated some of the undergraduate, concept of the subjects, but since most of them would require interactive and critical discussion, so it will be great if we all come together and, have an interactive class. So this will be, some basic format that we will be going through. And the course start, of course, from September until December end. And as Todd rightly mentioned, for the master's students, so they will have more workload, both in terms of their reading and assignment. And we might also give them extra hours so that they can, take more comprehensive approach. And we also have a specific class for research methods. And master's students will be focused more on that as well, even though we have only one day for that, but I'm happy to work, off hours, to explain and provide more materials to research methodology so that you can be well equipped before you start your research projects. So these were some of the key, points that I would like to mention. And if you have any question, please feel free to reach out to me, or you can ask at the end of this session or even right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Irfan. Okay, so now we're going to go through brief introductions of who we are, and then we'll go through the course syllabus one by one, program by program, and hopefully by then Jordan will be with us. So the master's students, you'll have 2 PhD mentors to help you with your major research project, and that'll begin in the 3rd term. So between now and the 3rd term for the master's students, course by course, you'll have additional material to do for your major research project. So I'll go ahead and start with the introduction, give a brief background of who you are, where you, if you want to say where you're from, that's fine. My name is Todd Price. I am the founder of Global Counter-Terrorism Institute, one of the founders. There's several of us. And I retired in 2016 after many, many, many years in the Air Force and in the Army. I was the last 10 years infantry and logistics in my culmination. And with that, my background has always been criminal justice, criminology with an emphasis in pre-law. And I graduated from Southern Oregon University last year with my master's in business with an emphasis in research and data analytics. So the part of the major research project I'll be doing teaching several different concepts of both qualitative and quantitative research methods, along with the master students and the professors. With that, I also teach data analytics for either Tableau or coding for MySQL, and I'm the one that put together our learning management system with the help of our information technology director. And we do have a help desk. If you have problems with your computer or the LMS, your program, you just email helpdesk@globalctinstitutelms.org, and that I will post that information today in your respective groups also. If you have issues, just reach out to the help desk, and usually within the day they'll get back to you and help you with your problem. If we need to do a video consult, the best way is through WhatsApp. We can set up Zooms, but the easier way is through WhatsApp, so we can help you with your issue that you have. I know that we have students from all over the globe. We have instructors from all over the globe, from the UK, from Canada, the US, where I'm at, and also Nigeria. We have our IT departments actually in Indonesia. And so we run a global school, and we're the first of a kind to do something like this besides some of the security companies like ASUS and whatnot. But as a institute, we're the first to do it. So we're looking to make sure this program is the best of the best, not only to give you the information and content, but the credentialing behind it. Your master students will be conferred through the Paris Graduate School, Innovative Knowledge Institute. We had the founder and director on yesterday talking, and we had a webinar this weekend, which we do once a quarter. So, as I said, welcome. This program started a few years ago. Is that from my here? So you said you noticed that GCTI has no facility. We're an online school. Paris has a facility. They also have a library and other things for the master students. The diploma students won't have access to that material at that level. However, all of our information and our chat functions, our forums for discussion are all on our learning management system. So Mahir, you'll receive your login credentials today, but basically the orientation is going to go through the learning management system, where you find your coursework, and then your instructors will go through the syllabus. We have a couple documents that need to be filled out, initialed, and sent back. And I'll go through that. I guess once we're done the introductions, we'll start with, this is the learning management system. This is the orientation. There's a couple videos that we need to watch so that all students will watch these videos. And this is the only way we can fully admit you, is to make sure you understand our sexual harassment policy and you understand our cross-cultural communication policy, which is huge when you're discussing sensitive topics with other cultures. We want to make sure our school is unbiased, and that if there's discourse or dispassion that you have about a specific topic, that we discuss it in a professional and rational manner, and don't end up hating each other at the end of this program. That's the goal, because it's happened. It happened on Facebook.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mahir. And so you'll receive your login credentials here shortly. Most everybody have already been loaded, and so I know you're a last-minute admission, so we'll get there. So bear with us a little bit, and we'll help you out as much as possible to get loaded. So at this time, I guess that's my introduction. I live in Oregon in the USA. I know some of you, I actually know where most of you live, so it's good. But if you need to, for security reasons, keep yourself confidential and private. We'll respect that. Your classmates may have your email. We hope you allow them to get to know you, not just verbally. But again, if if it's an issue with you, we'll work with it as much as possible, because we understand some countries are in conflict, and we want to make sure your safety is protected. So with that, I'll let the next director go ahead and introduce himself, 5 minutes or so, and we can get moving along.
Thank you, Todd. So again, I'm Irfan. I live in Ottawa, Canada. In terms of my educational background, I have 2 master's degrees with theses. One was in international affairs, and the other was in area studies, where I exclusively focus on South Asia and Afghanistan. In my specialty, our research interest is mostly focused on South Asia, mainly again, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And I have been working on Afghanistan for quite a while. And right now, I'm also the founder and managing director of the Afghanistan Security Institute, which is a think tank based in Ottawa. And I hope, at the end of this course, or maybe after that, we will have opportunities for our student, to get an internship with the institute if they are interested, or we can also, introduce them to some of our partners. So they will also have this kind of, opportunities, since this area is closely allied with what we will be doing in future. There will be many other think tanks, coming for, I will arrange, for presentation, or to tell us, how things work in reality, rather than, seeing them from an academic perspective. And of course, we will also have a special class, which I will add in research methods course, that will be exclusively focusing on how to improve our policy-oriented writings. So this is something that I have considered extra for my students. And yeah, that was my background.
Thanks, Irfan.
Yeah.
Amber?
Amber, you there?
She may have stepped away. If you wanna jump in, Mohammed.
Okay. Yes. Hello again. My name is Mohammed Omar. Just briefly on my background, I have spent over a decade within the UK police. I'm currently based in the UK, and originally from Tanzania, but I've lived most of my life in the UK. I've spent almost a decade within the police, in the British police. I've worked frontline policing, and also one thing, when I joined the police, this is, I'll say, how I got into the criminal justice system. I always was, when I was working, I was very busy. I was doing a psych evaluation when dealing with number of incidents, let's say from suicidal individuals, from antisocial behavior, from hate crime, from rape incidents, so various of incidents of policing or criminal investigation department that I have to spend time as well. So always was for me, why do people commit crime? While I was in the police, within my probation, I took a foundation degree in policing studies with Portsmouth University, and during that time, I was able to do a research on officer safety, looking at how to improve the officer safety within the police. So I did it for my force. And when you look at it, some of the recommendations, even when I look at that at the time, the effectiveness of the officer safety training, and when you look at it now, the officer safety training has been reduced because of budget cuts. So back then, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we're talking now, the officer safety was not up to that level yet that expected. And then in terms of how it's been reduced. So whilst in the police, I did 2 degrees. Another degree I did with was Bachelor of social science with Teesside University I did on policing and investigations. So at that time, that's when I started learning on terrorism, and that interest. One of my thesis was radicalization, and I did a thesis on radicalization, and then I spent almost a decade in Africa, where I worked for a large security company, where I started up training department, investigation department, and trained the managers, etc., and dealing with complex security issues in investigation operation. I was managing large. So after spending a decade in Africa, whilst I was in Africa, I was able to do my master's in business administration, and mainly specializing in quality management system. So I did a thesis on quality management system as well, how you improve quality management for organizations, from small to medium-sized organizations. I'm qualified also in crisis management, certified anti-terrorism specialist, level 6 in certified security management professional, and also I'm a fellow associate of higher education authority in the UK. So that's briefly my background, and I have been with the GCTI for almost over a year now, I believe, Todd. And as I said, I've never looked back since been with the GCTI. It's a small but big in terms of how we work at the background to try and achieve training and education for everyone. So that's about me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Amber, can you introduce yourself, please, briefly?
Of course. So to kind of follow Mohammed's lengthy and impressive history, my undergraduate is in political science. I went to Pennsylvania State University, and through that coursework, I focused mainly on terrorism and comparative politics, and how really conflict addresses the different issues when you're talking about international communication, international agreements such as the UN and other sort of organizations. What role does conflict play in our, working with other states? After that, I went and I got my master's in Homeland Security Management, where again I had a focus on terrorism, and through that I ended up working at the school with my professors and my colleagues who were all experienced law enforcement, and they were able to guide us all through a way in which how do conflict and terror attacks affect not only one country, but all of their allies, and kind of that ripple effect. So that definitely led me over to a GCTI. And then with that, I also do a lot of work with nonprofit organizations that deal with economic empowerment and finding ways to support yourself and how to give back to your own community. I work a lot in the Middle East, and how to address these conflict areas and terrorism at a local level in order to benefit your direct community. So I've been with GCTI for I want to say about a year now, and working with Todd and Mohammed and all of these other directors has been an amazing experience. And I know that as students, you will see how brilliant this faculty team is. So welcome.
Thanks, Amber. Look at that, right on time. I will get I'll let him in.
You want me to go through that?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Jordan. Would you briefly introduce yourself, your background, and I'll just say that Professor Jordan is the one of the PhDs in the master's program who will oversee. That's also General Olawunmi, aka Professor Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan, introduce yourself, please.
Thank you very much, Todd. Sorry, I'm a bit late. As I told you earlier, I was traveling.
Yeah.
My name is Professor Kunle Olawunmi, aka Jordan. I have actually served with the military intelligence in Nigeria for about 35 years. And I've also have a lot of experience in academics. I have my BSc degree in economics. I have another bachelor's degree in international relations and diplomatic studies. I have 2 masters, one in strategic studies and one in international relations and diplomatic studies. I also have a PhD in 2007 in core international relations and international security studies in France. I've also studied in Israel. I've done my advanced homeland security in Israel. I've also studied at the United States Naval War College in 2001 in Rhode Island. I've been to National Intelligence University in Washington, D.C. I've also studied at the National Defense University in Washington, D.C. Recently, in 2014, I studied at the Harvard University. I studied national and international security studies. My area of specialization there is actually negotiation and cybersecurity studies. Right now, I'm the International Senior Program Director for the Global Counter-Terrorism Institute. In Nigeria, I'm also the head of Department of Criminology and Security Studies. We've put together this program from the core of years of experience in the field. And I'm very sure our students are going to benefit immensely. Todd,
Yes, sir.
do you just want me to introduce myself or try to give a summary of what we intend to do in MSS?
How long do we have you this morning, sir? I know you're busy heading to DIA, so.
Yeah, I'm just going to be maybe like, I'll just talk for another maybe 3 minutes to just give them an idea.
Go ahead
3
and
minutes.
give a somewhat brief summary of the master's program. We have, I believe, one of the master's students here now. If you can.
Todd, I can hardly hear you, but if you can hear me, I just want to let the student understand that we're going to run the program. We were going to look at the main theories and approaches to security through the historical and contemporary security issues, because if you take it from the historical perspective, we have to go as far back as the period of Peloponnesian Wars between the Greek and Sparta. And we are going to also go through the Battle of Solferino, up to First World War, Second World War, the Cold War era, and the era of global counterterrorism. Then we have to also look at briefly at the issue of cyber warfare and artificial intelligence. But the field of study, actually, the way we are going to approach it, we are going to move a little bit away from core military questions to issue that has to do with environmental, issue of migration. We are also going to move away slightly from state-centric security, where we talk about regime security, to issue of human security. And we're going to actually examine the evolution, how issue of international security has evolved over the years. We're going to do about 3 approaches there. That's the rationalist approach, the constructivist approach, and the critical approach. And we try to give conceptual meaning, empirical meaning to the changing nature of war, which has actually been accentuated with technology, how technology has actually changed the nature of war and how asymmetry has put everybody in this position. At this point, I would like to hand over back to Todd, and I want to wish you a very good deliberation, Todd.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time today. With that, Irfan is normally teaching some of the coursework, and Professor Jordan will be in the background with the master students as well, working with them. So at this time, if students would like to say hello and say your name, which program you're in, and what country you're from. I know we have a few students here now. That would be helpful. So we can go alphabetically. If you look at the participants, Adrienne, you're first. Or are you sleeping, Adrienne? Don't be shy. I know you're not shy. Adrienne, can you hear me? Okay, Amos, you want to go next?
Todd, I think Amos sent me a message saying he's got some internet issues.
Okay, it shows that he's on, but that's okay.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah. Adrienne, can you hear me? Okay, that's fine. We'll just move on to the next. Amos is I'm not sure if he's there. JD, you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you're from? I think you're from Arizona.
Yes, hello. This is JD Southall, and I'm a retired military human intelligence civil affairs guy, and spent most of my time in Africa or Middle East or Iraq, Kuwait, those kind of places, in the military, and really interested in the master's program, and really interested in integrating all my lived experience in those fields, working in the villages and working with the civilian populace, and then using that, and then also using my forensic training in security and that sort of criminal justice aspect of it too. So I'm just really pleased to be here and amongst y'all, and excuse my accent, but I do appreciate working with y'all. Thank you.
Thanks, JD. Let's see, who else? Madison, you want to introduce yourself? Which program you're from, where you're located? It's up to you.
Absolutely. So my name is Madison Russo. I am located in the United States in DC as of right now. And the program that I am a part of is the criminal justice program at the GCTI. I'm currently pursuing a master's degree in security policy studies and had graduated from Emory University with an international studies degree with a specialization in conflict and security and a minor in Italian studies. And I look forward to getting to know everyone better.
Thank you, Madison. Mar, would you like to introduce yourself, sir? Mr. Aldergall?
Yes, I am here. Yes.
Can you introduce yourself, sir?
Yes. To introduce about myself, I have worked for the tribal framework as advisor for the Hadramaut Tribal Confederacy. At that time, I have engaged at 2014 and 15 with the counter-terrorism forces in Oman, that is in Oman, that friends that's the US plus the Saudi, the coalition. I have idea about the tribal networking between these forces and counter-terrorism between tribals and counter-terrorism forces. Recently, I have implemented literatures for workshops for anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism. That is for UNDP, was for a situation of law enforcement in Hadramaut, Yemen. So that time, I have we have exposed to Yemeni law in this regard and the international laws. Then, during the discussion of the workshop, I have reached to many facts and believe I need to this education to have more knowledge about writing methodology paper to explain what's the gap here in Yemen. There is a huge gap, of course, but to speak about that, I have to get idea about everything in method and systematic way to understand what's going on, and this is why this is what made me interested in this program. Thank you.
Thanks, Maher. I appreciate your time. And lastly, Ryan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan. I'm in the Phoenix metro area of Arizona, United States. I work in law enforcement. I did that for 6 years. I'm a detective. I work in a gun violence task force with like ATF going after violent criminals. I graduated at Arizona State with a bachelor's in Homeland Security. Part of that degree, I got to go over to Israel for a semester, and I trained with their military and law enforcement on how they combat terrorism and gather intelligence. I'm doing a diploma in international security studies just to kind of further my knowledge and experience with counterterrorism and the policies surrounding that. But I look forward to getting to know everyone and what these next 4 months have to offer.
Thanks, Ryan. I wasn't expecting Laurie to show up, but if Laurie would like to briefly introduce herself, we're actually working with Laurie to develop the next advanced forensic coursework after the criminal justice coursework is finished. So that should begin in I believe January. So Laurie, if you want to briefly introduce yourself, let everyone know where you're at. You are part of the staff and faculty here.
Okay, super. My name is Laurie James. I'm a forensic criminologist and qualified criminal profiler, offender profiler. I work, well, globally, but for the last couple of years in Botswana and South Africa. I work as an expert witness in court, assessment of offenders, and obviously from the profiling side we do a lot of work with the track and trace of serial offenders and the investigations of serial offenders, for the majority serial murder, serial rape. But as I said, I work a lot on the forensic side now, so the actual work in the courts is where the majority of my work is focused. And yes, I'll be developing the forensics program going forward, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great program.
Thanks, Laurie. All right, so with that, I think that concludes the introductions and stuff. If Adrienne is here and she'd like to introduce herself, that would be great. And Amos, I'll give them a few minutes. Let's see. Adrienne or Amos, are you there? I know Adrienne's not usually shy. All right, well, we'll move on anyway. And so if you'll excuse me, I'm going to jump over to the server. Can everyone see the current screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So really, the way the orientation works, there's a couple required video presentations that, you know, we can either take the time and be 2-3 hours in the orientation, or you can watch them as you need to. The first one, obviously, the video is the diversity and inclusion course. And I think everyone by now should be able to log in, with the exception of Mahir, and I'll get your login credentials done today, sir, so that you can view these available courses. And the first two are the required ones. With the diversity and inclusion course, there is a forum that we'd like you to introduce yourself, and there's a prompt in there. There's a presentation that goes along with the video that you are required to watch. And the way this works is we can see when students log in and complete their assignments because it'll update and check the box. So one of the requirements is to watch the diversity inclusion presentation that was done, I think, a few months ago by Mr. Mohammed Omar from the UK. And then he is also, if there are issues of diversity or inclusion and you need to discuss those, Mr. Mohammed Omar is the person you would email. And so I will let you go through, and really it's pretty simple. There's a discussion topic for our working group that we go through. And if you'd like to discuss, we can go through now quickly that GCTI is a diverse, inclusive, and equitable workplace. And that's also for staff and employees. So regardless of your gender, race, ethnicity, national origin, age, sexual orientation, education, or disability, we want you all to feel valued and expected. We are committed to a non-discriminatory approach and provide equal opportunity for employment and advancement in all of our departments. We respect and value diverse life experiences and heritages and ensure that all voices are heard and valued. We're committing to modeling the diversity and inclusion for the entire nation strengthening security industry. And that's basically what our organization is about. We are a combination of operational and academia together to ensure the well-being of our program. So we're committed to provide informed, authentic leadership for cultural equity. We strive to see diversity, inclusion, and equity as connected to our mission and critical to ensure the well-being of our staff and the arts communities we serve. Criminal justice is somewhat of a science. Some of us have military science backgrounds and some of us have criminal justice backgrounds, which, the security studies, the military science background, it just means we're able to bring these two models and disciplines together to form the International Security Studies program. And so what I'll do is I'll let you read through the rest of this so that you understand what exactly we do to promote diversity and inclusion in our workforce and in our students' community. You should be able to go to the home screen here, which shows you the courses that you're currently enrolled in. And I just went to the diversity and inclusion course. And again, once you go through the steps, it will take you through that. When you're done, it'll check off to show that you've completed those. Next is the orientation, and these are the required videos that we're going to show. The current student policies, student orientation policies are here for you to look at. You all should be enrolled at this point in the new student orientation. And so with it, you can open it on your computer. I don't have Word in Office on the server, but I am able to look at the documents. As you open these documents, you can download them, read through them, if there is a signature block at the bottom, that you make sure you sign and return, as I will sign this one. You can also add your name. This document, first of all, is the professional ethics and code, the professional code and ethics policy that we have with our staff and faculty. The same with our students. We expect everyone we employ or have business relations with, that includes students, to provide you with a concrete guide so that you can fall back if you're unsure about how to act. Basically, this is the policy that covers professional ethics and how we define our code of ethics, the purpose for them. And even if you still don't understand, just please read these documents, the components. We follow these common principles of ethics. We deal with EO complaints, sexual harassment complaints. We have a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment or any type of equal opportunity complaint, and we'll deal with it directly. We won't sweep it under the rug, but we'll also protect the privacy of the people involved because we know that can really hurt people depending on which direction they go. We have a very high respect for everyone, and we treat people as we want to be treated. Integrity and honesty is crucial. Tell the truth and avoid any wrongdoings. We believe in justice, but we make sure that everything is objective and fair and that there's no disadvantages to others. We know and follow the laws. That also means sanctioned countries. Because you deal with international countries, sometimes things happen. There are certain countries we cannot accept students from currently, such as Iran or North Korea. I know there's conflicts in Syria and Yemen, but we are, based on humanitarian laws, able to receive students. We just have to work with them on the vetting policy. We'll go through the vetting policy soon. We believe in competence and accountability. We want you to work hard and be responsible for your work. We also want you to collaborate and ask for help. And you can go through the detailed overview of these like it says. Please sign this and get this back to your course instructor if you need more information and help with it. We just want you to understand these documents. Any questions on the Code of Ethics policy? I believe any institution or university or school has these same policies. So we try to keep everything in line with that. Next is our, and this cross-cultural communications video. It is about an hour long. I trust that you'll watch it because we'll see if you do, and I would like you to. It's actually a very, very good video on cross-cultural communication. So we won't watch it now, but log myself out. And we'll go back to, once you finish watching the video, it will, over here on the side, as you can see right here, it'll check off once you're finished as you go through these, and that'll also let us know your progress to make sure that we see that you go through them. Next is the Sexual Assault Policy and Response Program. Which the same is for you to look through this. We have a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment and violence. That includes stalking people on their Facebook pages or stuff like that outside of the school. If it becomes an issue, we will work with it. However, we will also follow the sexual harassment privacy laws from informal complaint first to formal complaint and through the process. At this time, those that are involved in that process will be put aside, not necessarily suspended, but we'll deal with it in a manner that is correct according to our policies and current guidance. And Mr. Mohammed Omar and Ms. Amber Aquindo at this point are the sexual harassment response personnel in the school that would be available if you needed to talk to them. So with that, you're also required to read through this documentation. At the bottom, if you could please print, sign, date, and send it back to your professor, we would appreciate that. Did you all see the document? I guess I needed to share my screen for the document. There you go. Inside this is the document for the sexual harassment, and you'll see throughout those orientation, there are videos for you to watch, there are documents for you to sign, and if you can look through those, we'd appreciate it. And I think most people here should understand what sexual harassment is. But if you're not familiar with the programs, then you can read this and watch the video, please. Vetting policy. So I'm not going to open it up because that's mainly for staff and faculty, but students need to know that we go through a vetting policy with our students, or excuse me, with our staff and faculty through an arduous process to make sure that they are in fact who they are and say they are, and there's no issues with them in their background. So we want you to rest assured that you have experienced, qualified, and credible instructors teaching you at this point. Students, we also go and put you through somewhat of a vetting process to make sure you are who you are, and that's usually done by ID. And we do various checks to make sure that we're not giving this information to terrorists. I mean, that's just all there is to it. I mean, you can't really always tell who a terrorist is going to be eventually, but you do have an idea of a person's credibility and their integrity if you just look through their social media or public record, you can see who they are. And so with that, we've probably looked into most of your backgrounds to make sure you are who you say you are. And I personally know one of the students here, so we go by the best source information possible to make sure that we provide accurate, informative instructors and their credentials as well. So with that, is there any questions up to this point on what is required of you? And the audit committee isn't really part of the orientation, but it's there as we want you to know that we audit our coursework and we uphold standards that are inconsistent with Higher Education Commission standards. Our master's program is conferred through the Paris Graduate School. Our diploma programs are based on probably 100+ years of experience within both security and military backgrounds. So with that, we know that you're getting the best of your diploma programs, and placement is possible following internships and research papers and stuff like that. That two of our current interns are actually graduate assistants now who will be back up teaching because they've met that criteria. So is there any other questions at this point? Mohammed?
Yes, go on, Todd.
Sorry, do you want to brief on your program at this point?
Yeah, I can go through. I've got the materials, no worries.
Okay, I've already shared the screen, so go ahead, and I'm going to mute now to take a phone call.
No, you've shared. Can you just not share the screen now? Todd?
I think he's on the call.
All right, let me see if I can share. Can I share now? Can you all see that?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so now you can see, right. Let me. Okay, I'm just gonna brief you on diploma in criminal justice with criminal investigation. Right, so about the course, we're gonna look about the course. We're not gonna discuss about entry requirements. We'll go through the teaching and assessment and preparation of the study. And then I'll go through on the timetable. So the first part is orientation, which you're doing today, going through all the policies and the procedure. So the criminal law and terrorism, next week we'll move on to the first week, which is there are various modules. We break down onto week 8 to week 10. So first week, we're going to look at function of the courts. In order to understand, before we have to understand why, how do the courts function it? So we look at comparison between UK and Europe and US. So mostly UK. How do the courts and how discussing into how the laws are formulated in terms, and then they're passed on by the bills. For example, the various the parliaments, the member of parliaments usually in the UK, they'll sit down and decide on the law that they need. For example, the terrorism law you look at it has changed over the number of years. So same in America, when the 9/11 started, that's when they brought in the US Patriotic Act in 2001. So there's, and these legislations gets updated on the regular. There was also some courts within the EU, the international criminal courts, international criminal justice courts. So what is their role in terms of prosecuting these individuals who are responsible for terrorism? When we look at the judicial process and elements of crime, I mean, there's, how does a person go out and commit a crime, decide that today I'm going to get up and go and commit an act of terrorism? What goes in their head? All right. So looking at the elements, there's a guilty, what you call mens rea and actus rea. How does that combination? And then looking at the accessories, the criminal attempts when someone attempts to. So we'll look at the various of how does the court makes a decision to prosecute someone. Then we look at the offenses. So of that somebody just go and kill someone, because we know most of the acts, the serious act is murdering someone, where, you know, a suicide bomber just exploding themselves in the middle of the market and then killing all these various individuals. That would be like a murder. Okay, so what is the definition of a murder? You know, that's understanding, you know, how do the court goes through the providing the evidence that this person has been murdered, and then making a decision of whether if a terrorist is alive, then being prosecuted and sentenced to whatever based on the law on that country. So, however, you've seen over the years terrorist tactics have changed. It's not necessarily now murdering people, but have been also stabbing. You know, there's been cases in Germany, across Europe, I mean, in the UK. So this kind of believe in was released in prison, ended up on stabbing individuals, went in and stole a knife from the shop and stabbed an individual. So it cannot be necessary murdering somebody. And then there's another case of Osman Khan. So we look at those case studies. So there's various example looking at assault. What's the definition of assault? What is the definition of what are various types of assault? And the murder, even the manslaughter, and how, what are the defenses? How can somebody obviously defend themselves that they've not committed this act of crime? Then we look at various terrorism and offenses within the law, comparing it within the UK and US. We looked at terrorism financing laws. The presentation I did over the weekend. So terrorism financing laws, looking how the terrorism financing stages, look at the crypto, which is the Bitcoins, how is that being used to fund terrorism? What are the laws with regard to counter-terrorism? And then we look at the universal counter-terrorism instruments. The United Nations, they have various policies and procedures that are set in place, and their member states that they have to make sure that they prevent terrorism. So what are they, and understanding them is important. And then we touch base on international law and terrorism. What does international law and terrorism say? So we look at some case studies where there have been case studies such as the case studies of where the Scottish over the bombing, Lockerbie bombing, and this individual has to be extradited to the UK to face charges. And then there's even another one, Richard Reid, the shoe bomber, who again was in a transatlantic aeroplanes after the 9/11. He tried also to explode the shoe, and he was sentenced in America. So what are the law with regard to extradition? And then we'll go through the assignments. The assignment for the criminal law is 3,000 words. It's a summative, it's an essay, and that you'll be given at the end of this, and you have, we will discuss that. We'll have a discussion forum. You have a week, which is that week, to discuss what is required for this assignment. But however, on a weekly basis, on each week, you'll be given a task. So there's diploma students will have a certain number of words, and there's questions that you go through where you go where you do the research, and then you go into discussion forum, and you put your comments based on the question you've been asked. So that's what is. That also is very important. I must reiterate that on a weekly basis you engage, because the assignment carries 100% weighting, and then what's happened is 10% from there. You have to engage on a weekly basis, answer those questions that's set on a weekly basis, and because we'll monitor them. If you do not, or for whatever reason, one, you're either you're not able or you're struggling, please reach out to myself or Amber to be able to help you. And also, if you're coming towards to submit your assignment, whether they are mitigating substances, you're sick, we're all human beings. Again, or you have family issues or problem within the family or workload, and please do contact us, and we'll, by all means, we'll agree on when you'll be able to submit your assignment. Once you submit your assignment, the assignment will be marked. You have to consider that we use Harvard referencing style, and again, we intend to go through the study skills and Harvard referencing style. If you're not do not understand what is Harvard referencing style is, please do reach us out and see we can do some guidance in that. And I know Irfan has already mentioned that willing to do a research methods. So diploma, you do 2 modules a week, 2 modules. The masters will do 4 modules a week. So you do 2 modules for diploma, and you do 2 modules for international security studies and criminal justice. So the 2 modules that will. So these are the weeks for the human rights. We're going to talk about foundation of human rights and their impact, protection of human rights violations, and impact on human rights on criminal justice, drones, and current challenges. So going to look at the Convention of Human Rights and how does this impact on terrorism with regards to human rights. Again, see a classic example, drones and current challenges. Yesterday, the drones that, the counter-terrorism, the hit drone in Kabul that it was going to hit at the airport, and consequently civilians lives were lost. What are the challenges again? So those how do you look at that? You know, how do you balance that? So there's some case studies you can look at. So semester 2, and again I'll share the timetable for you. We're going to look at criminal investigation and terrorism. So we'll look at the history of terrorism and investigation. Classic example, we look at miscarriage of justice, where the Guildford 4, the Birmingham 6, if you don't know, in the UK, where in terms of failures on law enforcement to carry out proper investigation consequently led into the miscarriage of justice. So how is that impact? And then within the investigation, what learning lessons from there? Then we look at the evidence procedures. So we start from where some of you may have already experienced on evidence procedures, evidence gathering, as protecting the scene, where having the submitting of evidence for courts, where if there's no chain of custody for submitting of evidence, how does that evidence ended up not being inadmissible in court? So there's a lot of challenges thinking of, in terms of coming to where submitting DNA evidence, that also how do the DNA can be submitted to the lab. So then we look at some case studies as well. So the process of evidence gathering. Then we look police powers in relation to terrorism. Again, conducting comparison between UK and UK. One of the things, how do police enforce the powers? And then, but because that is a part of an investigation. Example, in the UK, what do give the police powers to stop a person suspected to be a terrorist and then search that person? So what powers? We look at the Terrorism Act 2000. So those, and then we look at the US, what powers are there? What powers do the law enforcement have there? Then we look at investigative interviewing framework. So this is in terms of looking in interviewing suspects, okay? Look at some case studies. How in the past, both in the US and the UK, they were using interrogative tactics on interviewing suspects. And consequences that's coming where individuals are being coerced or you are under fear, and that's where led to a lot of cases and miscarriage of justice. So it came in the investigative interviewing framework. How does that work? If you arrested the suspect and then you want to interview the suspect and to get a confession, and we also go through what is the confession, then you need also to understand it. How do you go? What is the process? And how do you challenge a person? Let's say you believe that it's lying. What to look at the behaviors. Then we'll look at the specialist investigation techniques. Law enforcement, they use various techniques. One of them is covert surveillance, okay? How can you use covert surveillance? There's also human rights implications, okay? In terms of also data protection, where you cannot just, for example, who gives you permission to record someone or accessing their private internet account, etc. Because there are laws, and there's that law. What are the legislations that gives you? So so what techniques do law enforcement use to gather evidence with regards to terrorism offenders? Then we'll look at forensic science and terrorism. However, this is an introduction to forensic science, because at the end, there is of this program, you can, if you want to specialize in forensic science, there's an advanced program which Laurie will take on that. So specifically, if you want to focus on forensic science, this is an introduction looking forensic science and terrorism. And then we'll look at terrorism and the media. As you've seen, social media and the media has evolved over the time. Technology has evolved. Social media, we've seen most recent attacks in Kabul. You hear ISIS-K, they're claiming that they're responsible for the attacks through Telegram, okay? So various terrorists use various methods to get audience with regards to their own mission and agenda. However, how can the law enforcement also use the media as well? There's been cases, we look at some case studies such as the Boston Marathon. That was one of the successful where the police law enforcement used the social media to pass the details of the suspect, and consequently one of the suspects was arrested. So again, the media can be effective, and again it can impact on the other side, on the terrorists. So we look at various issues, and again what the internet, how's impact. Then we look at offender profiling as one of the methods where there's how law enforcement use offender profiling and the impacts on using offender profiling, such as sometimes can be used as racism in terms of specific class of community. They're classed as, it can be used as seen as a racist because of this method of these techniques. So we look at the types of offender profiling, how it benefits law enforcement as well with regards to terrorism. And then we look psychology of terrorism. Why do terrorists do commit crime? Because as an investigator, you need to understand their terrorist manifest. You need to understand who they are, because as an investigator, you cannot just go and just start investigating. You need to understand all the different groups. You need to understand the individuals. You need to understand their method of operandi, and then you need to understand, because as we know, terrorists are not born, they're bred. All right. So how to understand the psychology of that? Okay, is terrorism linked to mental health? That's again we can argue. And then we look at the victims of terrorism, because not to forget, the victims always needs care. And to look after, post-terrorist incidents, you need your victims. Your victims are very important. You need to get statements from them. You need to get the support from them, because they may be able to give good evidence for you to be able to identify the suspects and set them to court if the suspect is alive. And then there's same one as each week, there'll be an assignment provided, and you need also to engage those assignments. You need to provide those assignments, both for master's and diploma students. At the end, there will be a 3,000 words assignment. You'll be given a questionnaire and the guidelines. So I will show you some example. So another session will be policing and terrorism, another module, which is you look at foundation of modern policing, community policing, and policing and terrorism, policing serious organized crime, hate crime and terrorism, and intelligence-led policing, policing cybercrime, and evidence-based policing, and the future of policing. With this also on a weekly basis, you're given a certain task which you need to engage on that, and engage online with the tutor and the students, and then there will be the same as 3,000 words assignment. There's sets of specific words criteria for both masters and diploma students set. Again, we've already identified ourselves. Quickly, I will show you for the first semester the criminal law and terrorism, the module, the program, and this module also goes along with human rights. So the aim of this module, the objectives of the module, is to critically analyze the judicial process of criminal courts, both locally and internationally, in relation to terrorism suspects prosecution, and then critically discuss the various terrorism offenses, analyze case studies, define the international law in its application to the international terrorism, identify the United Nations Counter-Terrorism instrument, its application to the international terrorism, and critically analyze the terrorist financing law and its application combating terrorism. The assignments needs to be in by Friday, 5th November. A link will be provided. It's already there when you access, and the time. However, you'll be given guidance on this. So week one, we've said, which is this, you're starting with your orientation, introduction to the module. Second week, we'll look at the function of the courts. Third week, which is 13th of September. 20th of September, look at elements of crime, and 27th September, offenses against the person, and we'll look at terrorism and offenses. So this is a schedule which you'll be given, and then we'll look at that week beginning of 1st November, where it's assignment discussion. There are learning materials, which is the references have been used for each week, and that which will be provided, and it's there and it's available for you to use, and also will help you with your assignment. Are there any questions?
Mohammed, would you like me to share the screen for where the course actually is on the learning management system so the students can access it? And then once I do that, I can show them each week what their requirements are.
Yeah, did you all see this document?
No, I didn't see it.
Did you all see this document?
Oh yeah, there it is. I brought that up before.
All right, okay. So
wanted
this
to
is the
show
document
them-
I was talking about.
Yeah, I wanted to show them where it
LMS.
is.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, show them. Thank you.
Yeah, so in the learning management system, of course, there's for us, this is a 401 level for the diploma and 501 level for the graduate student. So for Irfan, Professor Irfan students would go here, and Amber and Mohammed students will go here. And then inside, you're going to see the course outline that he's just showing you, some documents, the module information, and then what's required up to your assignment for week 2 for next week, which is actually this week or next week. And he'll go through that with you once you meet on your first day, which I believe is Thursday, or whenever you guys decide. And that's pretty much the gist of how you go week by week through your courses, the requirements, your presentations, the recordings should be either uploaded or they're done live. And the different topics you're going to go through week by week through the first term, which this is week 1, week 2 starts next week. So you'll have the assignments there already listed. And you won't see them right away until you finish the orientation videos and whatnot, and the documents that are required. And so you won't be able to see every single detail. You'll see once you're completed, the instructor will open up the week. And I can probably do that now and show you so that you understand. So now you can see week 3 is hidden. The reading list is hidden from the students. So as you go through the second week and you look at the criminal law folder, you'll see that there's a PowerPoint. There'll also be, during your class, will be recorded. So students that have an issue in a different time zone, once the recording is done, it will be uploaded and you'll be able to watch it. Don't stress if you miss class, but try to engage as much as possible and be there if you can. And that's for both diploma programs and the master students. You'll be required Tuesday and Thursday to look in the folders to see what your either recordings are, your assignments are, and if you have questions, just email either the master's program instructors or the individual diploma instructors, because they're actually also helping you with the assignments. Is there any questions at that point? Did that make sense? We're here to answer all the questions.
Just briefly, just go briefly on to show the link where the forum will be for the weekly task. So on each module at the bottom, you see the discussion forum. Yes.
There you go. So this is the first one in the criminal justice investigation, and Irfan may be a little different. We'll go through his in a minute, but go ahead, Mohammed.
Yeah, so there will be a reading task. As you can see, you click there on a reading task, and there will be a certain task for you to go and do a research and read on specific subject, and then come back with your findings. And then there will be a case, here there's 3 case studies analysis where based on that week, what you start, we looked at some case studies, and then you go out and research on these case studies. And the aim to you to be able now to apply what you've learned on that week, apply on that specific case studies that you've studied, and then put that in writing again. And this is also very good, because what's happening is you start building up on evidence, and you are understanding and analyzing cases for your preparing for your last assignment, which is your coursework assignment at the end of the module. So then you'll be able to have some example, and also you'll be able to see other students and engage with other students and see what they've put in and compare some evidence as well. So that's why we've created this. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Mohammed. Is there any questions on the criminal justice investigation diploma coursework for the master's students? Because next is Irfan. He'll go through the international security studies diploma as well as the master requirements for that, because the master students will have additional work. That's all. You're also doing the same material at a different level. Is there any questions? JD, you have any questions? Or Ryan or Adrienne?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Oh, Adrienne's there. Adrienne, where are you from?
Papua New Guinea.
Thank you. All right. And now I think, are you pretty much wrapped up with your part, Mohammed and Amber?
Amber, do you have anything to add? Is there Amber? All right. Okay. For my part, I think I'm done, Todd.
Okay. Irfan?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go ahead and switch to your department.
Sure. Okay, so before, yeah, we can start. Okay, great. So first of all, I want to make sure that every student has access to this portal. And I hope all of them, have at least logged once and have seen, what we have in this course. So this is the first thing, accessibility to make sure. And as you see, my course is very simple, very straightforward. So first week was the orientation just to get introduced as we are going through. And the second week, which will be potentially, we have yet to finalize, is the, can you please come to week? Oh, okay, you got it, perfect. So, and the reason we did not mention specifically the exact date of the class, because we want to be flexible as much as possible. And once we have every student, like in touch, we will see the majority what time they are proposing. And even though this class is, we can upload the video later on. However, this is highly recommended that if we all come together and discuss, because what I've seen, all of you seems to be very experienced. So an interactive class would be much more beneficial rather than just, watching the video. So I will, reach you out through the emails what time exactly you guys want me to have the classes, and upon your responses, I will decide the time, class, and the exact day. But for now, it shall be Tuesday. And the first week, there will be one specific topic. So can I share my screen, Todd, for a while? If you allow me.
Let me go ahead and stop mine for now.
Okay.
You should have the availability. Let me check. Yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Perfect. Just give me 1 second and ask some password. Okay. So can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So it's very, simple. We will have 4 key subjects, which are here: international security. The second one will be terrorism and counterterrorism. The third is organized crime and intelligence. The fourth one is cyber security and the new world order. And all these 4, I have divided them into sub groups or subtopics. So the first topic that we will actually start with will be the introduction to international security. Just one topic, one day and once a week. And the class will be 2 hours or 2.5 hours, depending on, the subject. And there will be a break in the middle. On the second day, there will be, in the subsequent class, we will have a security and the theories of international relation. On the fourth week, we will have human security. And more details, of course, you will see in the class. And the end of the first module, we will have introduction to research methods. So until this time, there won't be any rigorous assignment. In the second modules, we will study terrorism studies, terrorism and theory, what terrorism exactly is, and tourism and practice, which is another topic. So we will comprehensively understand these issues. Then, of course, causings of terrorism, and to counter terrorism, what strategies are there in the use. We will focus on some countries as a case studies. And then as an assignment, you will be having, presentation on the 10th week. So every students will be required. There will be, assigned topic. It will be in mutual agreement with the instructor and the students. So whatever topic, of course, in line with the course, they are interested, they can, present that topic. One presentation will be tentatively for 20 minutes. And then we will have the 2 other modules, which will be starting in the second term, starting from 8 November until the end of December. So we have yet to, I have yet to include those reading. And in terms of, teaching and evaluation, so we will have readings, which I really, want to and encourage you, to do all of them. It will have 10% of the marks. And how I will assess that whether you have read the materials or not would depend, your active engagement in class discussion. There will be questions, there will be comments. So your active engagement will show that how much readings you have covered. And this is a special note for a master's student. They will also be assigned 1 reading each week to present that reading, analyze and critically discuss that reading in the class to all of the students. And this will not extend to the diploma students. So this is one of the requirement or something extra. And the reason I'm doing this is, to give the master students, a more critical approach. They would also have, take in consideration how others sees this. And then, of course, we will be providing comments and asking questions. And that will be just for 10-15 minutes, not more than that. So each week there will be 2 master students presenting in the class, one of the assigned readings. But it does not mean that we shall not read the other readings. That will also be, highlighted in the class. And we also will be having weekly discussion questions. So once, for example, I finish my class, and then based on that subject, I will post a question on the portal, and you all will be able to see that and provide your answer, your thoughts. But I just want to highlight that it shouldn't be, just your opinion. It should come, based on the reading. So you should always substantiate your thought based on what you read. At least there should be 1 reference from 1 reading. And there will be 3 assignments. So assignment 1, it is very short assignment, 1500 word, which will be due on the 5th week, last day of the week. And it has 20% mark. presentation will be there on week 10th, as I mentioned. And then the second assignment will be there again, which will be week 14, which will be also short 1500 word. And the third assignment, which will take place, I just want to mention that the 1500 word are both for masters and for diploma students. And assignment 3, which will be 2,500 word for the diploma students, and this will be much more for the master student. And I will talk to this specifically to master students in the class, because I want them to write a proper research paper, not just a brief 4 or 5 pages paper, which will help them properly understand how to do an academic research or policy oriented writing. And the minimum passing marks that I expect are the requirement of the course is, to have at least 50% of the marks. And here you will see the assignments instruction. Of course, if you are not able to meet the deadline for a genuine reason, so always there's flexibility to reach out to me or our Professor Jordan, and then we will accommodate your request accordingly, even if there is some religious obligation or some other thing. So there's always flexibility. The rest of the thing you might have read, and then here we will, as you see, week 2. And then you will see the reading list. So on each day, for example, for the coming week, I will let you guys have access to the reading. And accordingly, for example, the first, second, third, fourth, 5, if you cannot read most of the reading, for the diploma students, I request at least to read 3 of the readings, the first one. And for master students, so if especially the week second has a lot of reading, so even if they read 5, that is enough. But the more they read here, the more they will benefit from, because as I keep saying, all these readings are, peer-reviewed material and not just policy-oriented. And for the diploma courses, there are some, to found the foundation of concepts. So there will be non-academic or policy-oriented or open resources, which I have, in the all of them are peer-reviewed, a proper academic journal-based reading. So it's highly recommended that you read all these reading, and they will be, help you in evaluation of your assessment. And accordingly, the 3rd week, 4th week, and day goes on. And as about can you please share your screen again? The portal one. I will just close mine. Yeah, so if you can please click on week 2nd, which is already there. So week 2 reading. So if you click on the folder, you will see all the materials here. It will also include the PowerPoint or the lecture that I would be presenting. Additional instruction, you will also find it in that folder. And if we can go back, Todd, please. There will be a section for the discussion, a forum discussion forum. So each week, you will see by the end of the day a question. And as I mentioned, please, all students are expected, to provide their comments and thoughts. And of course, there should be one reference to one of the reading that you will be talking about. And I will monitor the discussion, and based on that, I will incorporate those part of your marks to the overall grade of the course. And yeah, those are the pretty much things that it's very simple. Just you will know which subject we will be teaching, and then you will be having reading for that. And by the end of the course, I'm sure that you will really benefit from this course. both in terms of academic and how it works in reality. And as I said, it has been established, in consultation with many reputed professors. So this will be really a great journey for you guys to enjoy. And I'm very much looking forward, to teaching and talking to you about this course in the class. Todd, you're mute.
Thank you, Irfan. Professor Jordan, do you have anything to add to your international securities program as the master's PhD major research project director? I don't know if he's there. I know he's online. He's in the chat. Professor Jordan, do you have anything to add to Irfan's discussion?
Yeah, I think I just want to commend him for what he has done, and that I'm going to, once I finish with DIA tomorrow, I'm going to call him. We're going to synergize and make sure that the system is ready for the student. Irfan, well done.
Thank you, Professor. It's all your advice. Thank you.
Okay, so
I just want to clarify and have an idea, about the ISIS students. So can you please raise your hand that how many of you are present here?
I think you have.
Okay, great. So we have
JD, I know, is here. He's actually in the master's program, but he's also the ISS. He'll be in both programs. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have been contacted by some of the students who were not able to attend.
Right.
So yeah, I will reach out to you, Jerry, and suggest, please suggest the time that work best for you, even if it's like right now, I don't know. I don't wanna, to ruin your day by, maybe all of thing I be having working. So the time that work best for you maybe in the evening so that you can spare the rest of your day, and we will go accordingly to make it as convenient as possible for you. And I think this is one of the benefit for online teaching.
It is one of the benefits at your pace, speed. There are some requirements to try to meet as far as engagement and forums. I'm always here in the background for help desk and whatever needs to be done. And at this time, I think we're about done the orientation. The only thing I want to mention, all students have gotten their admission packets in and should have received their acceptance letters and login credentials, with the exception of Mahir, who has just joined us. And I'll work with him today to get everything done. With that, the only thing left is the contracts. And so we wanted to go through the contracts quickly. I know some of you have gotten your contracts back. And so the rest of you, if you would like to individually email me, we can go through and get them taken care of. In the meantime, what questions do you have for me or for the Institute or for the faculty to go over, if you have any? Now's a good chance. And if not, you can always email us. And this orientation will be uploaded within the next few hours into the orientation folder. And I'll make note of that for students who weren't able to attend to this time frame.